Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna talk about something that really bugs me, and that is, why is every celebrity home designed in such a way? What I mean is that, for example, recently I've seen one of their videos and it left me thinking, people actually pay for this. Someone paid a good amount of money for their house to look like this, and somehow they're happy about it. I wanted to do sort of a deep dive and see if the designers that celebrities are working with are actually doing the same atrocities that they're doing in their house, or is it just a strictly celebrity kind of thing? As in, if your client is bonkers, obviously you won't be able to make something good out of it. But I think it's important that you see the differences from the designer, just the way he creates things, and together with the client that he has, because it's so important. It makes such a difference. And I found some really interesting stuff, so if you want to stick around. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get to 100 subs at least.
Hi AD, I'm DITA VON TEESE. Welcome to my home.
So from the start you can see craziness.
I moved into this 1920.
Oh, also I'm gonna skip through the video because some of the things are not that important. But I am gonna show you later with some photos next to each other while I talk, so it's easier. But I don't want to make like a reaction video because that's not what it is. It's strictly a design analysis of their house, or, you know, of the designer that made the house. So yeah.
7 English tutor about 5 years ago. When I moved into this house, it was all white walls, and I really loathe white walls. I love color. I like feeling like all my favorite colors are represented in the house. I had a mural painted that...
Right, so the house itself is quite old. I'm not going to talk about architecture because that's a whole other thing. But from what I've read into an article, she said she's a maximalist, which that means, strictly as a definition, is basically, she basically uses the largest amount of materials and colors and different shaped objects, as complicated as possible, because that's what she likes. That's the style itself. So if you want to look that up, maximalism is an actual thing. And is it a hoarding thing? I don't know. But maybe it's categorized in that. Personally, it looks like a museum to me right away, as in I feel like I'm stepping in and I'm gonna get my fortune told. I don't know much about her, but I know she's a burlesque famous dancer and performer, and it kind of shows. I mean, if you live in that kind of art style, creative field, you tend to embrace it. I think it's, she said she likes a lot of vintage stuff, and she repurposed a lot of things. For example, here in the kitchen.
So this is my kitchen. I wanted to make a very glamorous kitchen because no matter what you do and no matter what your house looks like, everyone hangs out in the kitchen. I used to famously have a pink kitchen, and so a lot of these things that I took from my pink kitchen and I used them here. Like the sconces and the chandeliers. I gave these chairs all a makeover and painted them. And I saw this faucet. It was the most outrageous thing and I had to have it. I just love it. It's really weird.
So as I was saying, I couldn't find a designer that did anything for her. She didn't mention it anywhere. So I'm guessing this is entirely her thing. She made this entire design on her own because she seems really involved in what she has around the house. And she said she likes to do a lot of DIY art and projects. So overall, I think it's a very interesting style. She pairs it in a very interesting way. I'm not going to criticize on that because I think it's not an eyesore. What is an eyesore, I think, is the abundance of things. But again, as that is already a style, yeah, personally I'm not a fan of stuffed animal and feather anything, but again, it's a house with a lot of personality. What I do want to say is that it is very eclectic. It has a bit of a hint of 20s, 30s style in it, and she likes to collect things. you know, it's the kind of house that you look in a corner and you have no idea what you're gonna find in there. Why I included it in the bad design category is because it's very tacky, from my opinion. I don't want to criticize people. It's not what I'm here about. But there are some things that really don't go together, and that basically includes the kitchen as well. As you see, she has this ceiling paired with the chandeliers. It's questionable, but again, she kind of made it work. However, the ceiling, I'm just like, no. it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit at all because you have too much shiny. Too much shiny. Moving on to the living room.
This actually was a reproduction of a French sofa. It's not very big, and also I should say every single sofa in this house is extremely uncomfortable. There's really nowhere comfortable to sit in this house.
So she said it herself, the couches are not comfortable, they're strictly art pieces. So from this point of view, it's really not functional. If you ask me, if you have people around and you want to make them feel good, I don't think she has too many people around, to be honest. Considering that she preserves her things in such a manner. Like, her whole house is basically a museum. How are you gonna throw a party in there? I don't know. But it's a choice, I guess. I don't get it. If you have your own house, you should feel good in it, and it should be like an escape from everything that's going on outside. Moving on to the dining room.
This is my dining room. I bought this dining room set at the flea market, and I put one of my favorite fabrics that I saw in Paris in a Jacques Garcia hotel. And I had to have it, so I tracked it down and I put it on these flea market chairs.
Right, so let's look at this image. This makes me think of a parlor of sorts, with all the china lying around, so many flowers. The colors are atrocious, to say the least. Blue and red could go together very well, but not in this shade at all. Like, not this shade. This could have been such a nice thing if right colors would have been picked and not as much knickknacks here and there. It looks very kitsch. I feel for the person that has to dust this entire house and clean everything, because I think they're gonna be here at least a few days. It feels like a grandma's house, and not the good kind of house. The one that you never want to go to. Right, so let's move on to her bedroom, which again I thought that was such a contrasting thing compared to the rest of the house.
So this is my bedroom. This is my version of minimalism. Light colors, not too much clutter.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the rest of the house, this feels like some fresh air. She said this is her version of minimalism, which I disagree with, but yeah, it's definitely more minimal than the rest of the house. But she said she didn't like white walls in the beginning of the video. She hated that, and then she has an entire room that's just white, or however you want to call this color, silvery. It's kind of cohesive, I think. If she went with this style, it's portrayed like all over, which is a choice. Not a choice I would make, but I know different people, different personalities, whatever works for you. But it's very kitschy, very old style, vintage. There's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But this is extreme vintage. This is like a hoarder's house, kind of that same vibe, basically. It's really chaotic, very DIY, and you can see that. Yeah, don't do that, basically. Moving on.